Journey Through Parenthood with Martina Bills.
Brought to you by Southern Ohio Medical Center. Very good things are happening here.
Good Monday morning, everyone. I'm Martina Bills. Thanks for joining us here on the WSAZ Now desk for Journey Through Parenthood. Well, it is technically the winter months, but a lot of us have been experiencing some warmer temperatures over the last few weeks. But one thing, anytime those temperatures dip below freezing, your skin gets dry, your nasal passages get dry. And we're talking to Dr. Matthew Weimer with Valley Health today a little bit about how to keep everything on the outer layers of our body healthy during those cold winter months.
Dry nasal passages and skin is one of the most common things that I deal with in my practice, at least from a dermatologic perspective as a family doctor this time of year. The humidity levels in the atmosphere and in the environment are pretty low. And then we turn on our heaters in our homes, and so that just further dries out the environments that we're in. And so prevention is key with keeping things from being too dry, as well as treatment. And really it comes down to hydration. So, and that's pretty, I mean that comprehensively. So keeping our overall body hydrated with appropriate amounts of water is important. Always good nutrition and things like that. Avoiding things that dry us out, that dehydrate us, that are diuretics like alcohol and caffeine, or at least limiting them to healthy levels at your doctor's direction is really important. But as for the nasal passages and the skin themselves, again, hydrating is important. So sometimes humidifiers are necessary, especially like in the bedroom while sleeping. That can be really important. Nasal saline, typically used in the form of a spray, can be very helpful to help treat and prevent dry nasal passages. When it comes to the skin, it's important to use products that are not going to irritate the skin, products that are made to have a similar pH as the skin. So you see that in some products like pH balanced, and you may see other terminology, but the easy way to think about products for the skin, whether it be soaps or moisturizing creams, is to use products that are gentle, that have that in the description or in the name, using products that don't have additional chemicals that might add color or fragrance to the product. So a gentle cleanser and a simple moisturizing cream like a Cetaphil brand or Eucerin, CeraVe, there are many others, but things that are just plain, no colors, no additives for scents can be really helpful. And I recommend to my patients a pretty straightforward process, which is apply something like that to the skin immediately after getting out of the shower, just kind of gently drying off the skin, and then really being pretty generous with putting the stuff on the skin shortly after the bath or the shower. The bathing kind of moisturizes the skin, and that product will help kind of lock that moisture in. And I typically recommend a second application on the other side of the day. So if you're bathing or showering in the morning, go ahead and apply that in the morning and then do it again in the evening, or vice versa. One thing about bathing and showering that's a real pitfall this time of year is that it's tempting to stay in that hot shower, make the heat go, turn it up a little bit and stay in there a little longer than usual because it's cold in the bathroom or out in the hallway or outside. We want to limit the temperature and not let it get too hot in our bathing and showering this time of year, and really all the time, but especially during the cold winter months. And keep that time in the shower or bath to less than 10 minutes. So really to comprehensively take care of the skin, it's a matter of, again, not overdoing it with the temperature or the time in the bath or shower, and then using that moisturizing cream twice a day, one of which should be right after the bath or shower. Same with the nasal passages. Again, humidifiers in rooms, nasal saline used 2 to 3 times a day can go a long way.
And should you be using that nasal saline if you don't have a cold? This is kind of like the lotion on your outside skin and then the nasal saline spray inside?
Yeah, I think that nasal saline spray, which is the most common form that people see on shelves, is perfectly fine to use for just about everybody. Regardless of whether or not one is sick. If somebody is sick, Certainly the medicines that we use for common colds and other things, just for the symptoms, can really dry us out. So it might be important to use it even more so in those cases. A lot of patients are on nasal sprays like steroids, and those can really dry your nasal passages out. So that's another instance where it's really critical to use nasal saline products. They also make some gels and things that can be kind of applied to the outside of the nasal passages that help to humidify the air as it's breathed in. But a spray is probably the most common thing that we see. And it's important too to talk to your doctor or do a little bit of good, web research, looking at the manufacturers' websites and whatnot to make sure that nasal sprays are being used properly in terms of the technique.
And I know that comes in, it can be a tricky thing when you're trying to get a child to do that, because I was recommended the nasal saline spray for my child, and now she's 10 and she has the process down pat. But I know that can be a tricky thing, when it comes to having a younger child, even though it is helpful.
Yeah, and in the case of very young children or infants, we often recommend nasal saline and maybe also bulb suction to help clear out secretions that can happen with colds and other infections this time of year, or really any time. In the case of younger children, we use nasal saline drops, so it's not quite as forceful as a spray might be. It can be a little less off-putting to the child, but most infants don't really like having their nasal passages suctioned. Again, it's important to follow technique, to talk to your pediatrician or family doctor, and make sure that you understand the appropriate technique for applying nasal saline drops or spray to a child, as well as bulb suctioning if that's going to be part of the treatment.
So a lot of good advice from Dr. Matthew Weimer with Valley Health about pretty much taking care of your skin in those cold winter months, taking care of those nasal passages. And something he said that kind of to keep in mind, think of when you put moisturizing lotion on your body. You can think of the nasal saline spray that you put in your nose, or nasal saline drops for little kids, as a way to moisturize the nasal passages to prevent it from getting too dry during the cold months, because that can lead to bloody noses and a lot of discomfort, especially for children. So here on Journey Through Parenthood, you can always find us on WSAZ.com. You can click on the Journey Through Parenthood link and then scroll down to Journey Through Parenthood, and then you can scroll through the rest of our stories that we have listed here on WSAZ.com. And if you want to reach out to me for a story topic here on Journey Through Parenthood, find me on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we might feature one of those stories here on the WSAZ Now Desk. We are here every Monday and Wednesday at 10 o'clock. We hope you have a great start to your week.